This demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do this technique and make this beautiful card, although I will show you at the end as well how we made this version, where we've just got some beautiful paper pieced flowers in here, but we've got a frame around it, but we've not had to paper piece all the individual elements of the leaves just by using a little bit of clear glitter. And this was actually inspired by a card of Leslie's here, where she's done it in white and a couple of soft blues, and then added some flowers and given it the Leslie twist. But it actually makes a beautiful, beautiful technique. And this has been made using the brand new JND512 and 513 FrameMaker dies from the John Next Door brand. And we're using the outside lines of one, the inside of another. So I'll show you how we do it when I take you through the dies. So to make that sort of beautiful sparkly card, but yet quite clean and simple, we're going to use the Daisy FrameMaker. But we're also going to be using the outside edges from the Wave FrameMaker. So we're going to be using a combination of the two together, which I think is really good. That's how it shows how these actually mix and match together. So I need to use the outside panels, or the insert panels, which are the 4 beautiful leaf panels from the Wave FrameMaker, along with the larger 7x5 FrameMaker from the Daisy. So the first thing to do is to take a piece of coconut white card, and I've just cut this roughly to size, probably 5.5 by, or the whole length of it. And what I want to do is just loosely tape that down to the die first, take the pieces out of the die, and just drop each piece in. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and tape it down, and you'll notice each one of these finishes with a dot. So I want to take the smaller piece and I want to put that in so that the dot, so it goes leaf to dot. It's really easy. You don't have to do that, but it keeps that design continuing across. So exactly the same with the next one. So we finish with a dot. So that one wants to have a leaf. So we can just put that in nice and simply like that. And again, then you'll see the last one fits leaf to dot. So it's a really simple indication of how we can actually run that through and cut it nice and simply. And of course, you can cut that just onto a piece of card like that. This makes you absolutely beautiful sort of background. If I use some colour there, you can see you've got almost like a sort of menu place. I think that looks absolutely fabulous. Love that. I think I might make that one into something. So all we have to do then is to run that through our die cutting machine, which I'm going to do. So I'm going to take that off, run that through, and I'm going to show you what comes out when it's cut. So this is what we get here, is an absolutely perfect, with all those little leaves in the background, so we know exactly where they are and how they fit in. I simply then take the same size of FrameMaker and cut myself a plain coloured frame, and I've gone for this sort of denim type blue. So I'm using the denim blue and the stonewash blue from the Bright Blues pack of canvas card. When we put them together, you just see there, you get that really elegant look. I've got one actually done here. I've done this one in the stonewash, and you can see we get a beautiful frame, which is just perfect to frame sort of any piece. It doesn't have to have a detailed centre. I mean, just like that, absolutely gorgeous. Some flowers on that and finished. But we want to do the middle piece, so we want to do the central daisy piece. So I've taken a piece of card here that I've just cut to, this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/4, so I can cut 4 of these from a piece of A4 card. And what I want to do is I'm going to do some selective sort of paper piecing on this one. So what I've done here is I've got a piece here of the white card with double-sided adhesive stuck down onto it. And I want to show you this sort of stage by stage or step by step. So I'm just going to take off the cover. And then I'm going to place this down on its front and place the double-sided adhesive sheet down. If you don't have the sort of magic mat, don't do it this way. take the piece to it, because this will stick to absolutely every surface apart from the silicone mat. So there we've got our piece ready to drop our bits into. So what I want to do now is to start by cutting in the two colours the actual same die, which is that beautiful daisy panel insert. So we simply tape that down and we run that through our die cutting machine. So here's our piece cut through in our die cutting machine, and most of the pieces have stayed in place. Keep the board just in case any haven't, and you just want to pop out, for all I'm using for this one are the flowers. So I'm just popping those bits out again onto my mat, as that's the easiest way to lay those out. So you can see there, I've got those flowers absolutely perfectly. So I simply rotate my 4-in-1 tool and pick up the flowers, make sure it's round in the right way, and drop these in. So if you get one in the wrong place, use the pokey tool end to get it right. So I'm just going to drop each one of these in, and I'm using the two smaller flowers. So just again, let's keep that cap off, it might be a little bit easier. So I'm just dropping each of those flowers in, or each of those petals into that flower. So just going to drop that, there we go, into place. I'm going to put the centre into the centre of the larger flower, and I'm then going to drop the other smaller flower opposite. So we're just playing with colour a little bit. So pick up each piece carefully, use the pokey tool to reposition it should you need to. That's why it's so much easier to do it with a 4-in-1 tool, because I can turn it round rather than having to change and pick up another tool. So once that flower is in, or those two flowers are in, I'm simply then going to cut out the same die from the darker shade, so we get a change in colour. So let's see what happens when I do that. So I've die cut that, and I've just popped out the pieces of the flower that I need and the two circles. So nice and simple. And again, I'm just going to then drop those in, so we get a beautiful little sort of subtle colour change between the two colours. But this is the sort of die that you wouldn't want to spend hours paper piecing all these little pieces into. So I really think it's something that you can do if you've got that level of patience, but some of these are really, really small. So one of the best ways to do it is to just do the larger elements that are very sort of obvious, and then we're going to fill the rest with a medium. So just pop the little circles into there. So there we have our beautiful floral pattern showing, but even if we take our frame and pop it on, it's still quite dominant. So we need to put something into the outside of this. So I'm going to take just the dark squares from this die and pop those into each corner. And I think I am one missing. There we go. Let's just pop you in. So nice and simple, but obviously I want to offset this line around there, and I don't want to use the lighter colour. So this is where I would bring in another colour, and this time I'm going to use the marine blue, again from the same set. So as you can see here, I've cut out the marine blue, and I've taken out the pieces that go around the outside, and I'm just going to drop those in, and this gives it a beautiful little shine. So you could play with 3 or 4 colours. This is what I love about using our coordinations canvas card packs is all the colours have been matched for you. So you don't have to worry about colours actually matching, because they actually do, if that makes sense. So you can see how easy it is to paper piece in the bigger pieces like this. Again, just use the poker tool to pull things into the right sort of dimension. And you may find with this, some of the smaller pieces sometimes go missing. So you can always find them in the die or recut it. So I think I've got a couple of little pieces missing. Let's get you in the right place. So you can see here I've got a little corner there missing. So let's check the die. And yes, it's still there in the die. So let's push that out. There we go. And I've got a couple, I've got one little bit at the bottom. Oh, there you are. So let's just put that one in. That's not quite in the right place. Let's pull that into place. So you can see there we've got that beautiful border and background completed. So all I want to do now is I don't want to end up paper piecing absolutely everything else. I've got a little bit missing actually. So again, let's just check it for the final time. There it is. Let's pull you out. There we go. So just take a little bit of time to get this right. I've just had you, so where have you gone? There you are. Again, you'll probably take that little bit more time perhaps than I will on doing this for a video. But I'm just going to drop, there we go, him in. So now I want to just fill up the rest of the space without it looking too crazy. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper, and I'm using here our Crystal Snow from Craft Artist, which is a really chunky glitter, but it will really show up well. So I'm just going to put that over and then just give it a good sort of press and rub in. You want something that's going to glitter, but that's not going to overtake. So a clear glitter like this is absolutely perfect. And make sure you get your fingers down on there to take it off. But if you can see there, we get that beautiful sparkle without the pattern looking completely off. So I'm just going to add that into the pot. Close that one back up. So all I need to do now is to take my frame. I've already loaded this with some foam tape. And I'm just going to frame that piece perfectly. So you can see there how beautifully that works. And then onto a card blank. This is just a 6x8 card blank top fold. And I've matted and layered some more of those two colours, the sort of denim and the stonewash colour, onto that, just to pull that central colour from the flowers out. And we stick that on, and we're done. Nice and simple. I wanted to show you an alternative. I've done the same thing here, but instead of using that marine blue on the panel, I've used it on the double-sided adhesive, just to make it quite simple. So again, we can go quite simply, put our glitter on, but this time, because we're using clear glitter, but it's over a different colour, we get a different colour through, just like that. So two different panels made using the same method. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not join us on the John Next Door official page on Facebook?